All right, time to look back on the grandness. Is that a word? Grandness, the wonderfulness of last Saturday night, the grandiosity, Jace, of Melton on June the 15th, was it? June the 15th. What a date.
Don't pretend like you don't remember. You haven't marked down the date.
It'll be etched in my mind for ever and ever, Jace.
I'm sure. You know what?
Ever and ever.
Very quick. I reckon very quickly before we get stuck into the Fabergé egg votes and the Black Booker, that single Black Booker, exotic bush range would have been. Anyway, I didn't. Let's take you through your night, because we discussed in the intro briefly, you did need a little bit of fortune for this. Take a drink, just take a sip and just sort of relax and allow yourself to dream back to what was Saturday night. Tango Tara, first of all, this is where you did get a little bit of fortune. You're a drifter in the market. Perfect Class is backed to the exclusion. And then very early in the race, there was a mistake, an error, a faux pas made by the very hot favourite, who was, I think, 280 all week or something, like 250, 280, and then got backed into what, $1.65-ish. Soon afterwards, you must have been at great peace with your own existence.
Well, I was at peace pretty quickly though. Sometimes the odds fluctuations get it wrong. Because I'm sorry, I won't cop that. There's no way that horse should have been $1.65. And I was saying Tango Tara was value at $5.50. To pay over $10 on the tote was ridiculous. And I'm afraid this is one where I will say that the money that was coming for the three was simply wrong. And I was right. And I'll always be able to sit back and say I got it right. And I know it galloped and I know it lost a bit of ground. But at the end of the day, I don't think it would have changed anything, because whether Tango Tara was out in front or, as I suggested, maybe even taking cover where it charged into fourth last year in this race, up the sprint lane the way it's going, I think it still could have won.
That was...
And history will always say that Codes was right anyway, so it doesn't matter what happened.
Well, I'm a big believer in life that there are no regrets, because you make a decision in life, and the alternate decision, and you make about 1,000 a day decisions about various things, you can never know. You know, there's lots of people in life that sit back and wallow in, if I'd done this, then I would have ended up here, and I would have been something special. I would have been a contender. No, probably not. And we don't know what would have happened. You seem to somehow, Nostradamus, baby goose, you seem to know what would have happened if Perfect Class had not galloped, but we won't know.
Well, that was my prediction before the race, though, that even if it led, I still was saying that Tango Tara was the play each way at about $5.50. Now, I only got shaky when I heard the pole horse might miraculously be showing enough gate speed to park Tango early, and I thought, my goodness, I can't see that happening.
What a load of old excrement that was, by the way.
It was. So, and you saw Kate, she drove it out aggressively. She wanted to get to the pegs and brilliant. And I'm sure Andy and Kate thought that Tango was ready to go.
Well, you're 15 by 60. So I think we can guarantee you would have run a place and may have won regardless.
And that's what it was about. And I like that bet style. I do like that bet style of putting quite a bit on the place.
I love it. I love it as well. We both 100%. Love it.
Yep.
So there's the first. Roadmaster this is an even more intriguing situation to me, because we discussed this.
Yeah, we do, but I've got
in an unrecorded element.
Yep.
This is where I felt the flux, and you don't want to sort of stutter when you say that word.
But no, you don't actually.
This is where the flux. I was expecting, if you're going to do what he did, there will be a move in one direction. There wasn't, and that's the only reason I just. You seem like you're kicking the gates down. So come on.
I'll say this again though. Anecdotally, I can recall, and I memorised the Southwest results a little more than others, but I can recall quite a few of Matty Craven's horses, especially in Melton, drifting and winning, and they win when they drift. And and that's kind of what made me refrain from actually throwing that part in into our chat, which was unrecorded in the finish last week. But I did have in my mind, well, even if I see, so with some stables, if you see them crunched in, right, that means something. With Maddie's, if they're crunched in, of course, that's more confidence. But I've seen horses from his stable drift in the market and drift quite alarmingly from single figures out to in the 20s and still win. So if you take the betting data and information out of it, right, the form around Roadmaster was such that, again, there's no way it should have been starting at that price with the map working out the way it was probably always going to. And that's lead initially and then either stay there or hand up to one of two horses.
But look, based on the empirical evidence, I cannot disagree with your.
He outsprinted Captain Hammerhead last year. Remember that?
Well, the thing I wrote in my little spiel, we both did spiels for every race. Gee, that was an impressive form page from us last week on Pace. It was massive, but there was no. I said he was the X factor.
You did,
but and maybe it's to my detriment, but I was just expecting I'll see something. In fact,
to be fair, you were more expecting him to lead that and stay there than I was, and I was confident he'd win, and you got that part right.
But it's not that he won.
Yeah,
it's the way he won. He won like $1.30. He won like $1.20 chance.
Well, we'll cover this in the form preview, but he's even money this week. When you look at what they call SP profile, how can he be even money? Yeah. But he was very impressive, of course.
Later in the night, though, later we both got the quaddie. I had to play it 11 ways. You only played it 2 ways and still got a little bit more than me. You just had one of those nights, but we both. I mean, I can't believe. Can I? Was that Did we get about what when you looked at the approximates? Was that about what you were thinking it would be for the 2 runners that you had? You Bet Your Tiger Buy and Final Collect.
I don't know. I thought it was a bit more than I expected, to be honest. But you and I think that way sometimes about trifectas. So I guess that is reason for us to argue that there is still value to be had playing exotics and quaddies because of all the mystery players and the lottery players.
Who won the 3rd leg?
Your boy, Vanquish Stride, and that was a really. And look, full credit to you. That was a crucial race for me. Now I liked the pole marker, Courageous Saint, right, at a bit of a price.
Yeah.
And that made me think that the favourite was a bit short, especially if First Dance got running, which it didn't. And so it actually encouraged me to just play even wider and make sure that I had a good handful in. And if you hadn't been saying Vanquish Stride for several weeks, I fear that I might have even risked it, in another lifetime. And I'm glad I did.
Well, that's very kind of you.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, people sometimes look at quaddies and go, multiply this price by that price. But I think Vanquish Stride, paid $859.
Yeah, why am I thinking $455? Maybe it drifted or maybe it's short and late. I don't know.
Well, regardless of what it actually paid, the quaddie tells us that it was considered a $15 shot in the quaddie.
Yes, and the funny thing is that you look at the quaddie approximates going into the last leg, right? And if you see 2 horses around the mark, but one's $2.30 and one's $5, I don't know if it's just because of the approximates or it's that it finds its way there. The $5 one does get plunged in. And it makes the approximates actually a pretty good guide to who will start favourite in that last leg or who will, you know what I'm trying to say, how close the market will be.
I think the other key with the quaddie is because there were 4 favourites under $2.50 or around under $3, that a lot of people said, well, I tell you what, we've got to play skinny here. And so by having 2 runners, Final Collect and Vanquish Stride winning, that's where we got our value. But the other, Final Collect, there's no luck involved. There was no luck involved there. That was just an unbelievable win, wasn't it?
It was, and he is an underrated horse. Was he the horse who paid $60 or $70 one night, maybe last year? You may recall at Melton.
It could have been,
because I reckon that night you were absolutely on and seeing it, and then that horse came and ruined a quaddie or something.
I was going to be cheeky. We'll get to the Black Booker soon. I was going to make him my Black Booker, which you can do because
you can, of course.
The beauty of Final Collect is he's going to turn up seemingly at a price every time he
He's
goes around.
he's perennially underrated. I just want to go
Correct.
back, fact check. You were spot on. Vanquish Stride, $7.50. So yeah, that was
Yeah.
$7.50, and yeah, Final Collect $17. Now,
Crazy price.
you bet your Tiger Pie still run a really good race, and I think Mick Stanley was pretty confident. And he's seen Jackie there, and he thought, well, this works out all right. I'll sprint home up the lane. They've gone 26-8 in that last quarter. They've sprinted up the straight, and Final Collectors just kept digging and just said, I'm not going to be denied.
It was a phenomenal win.
It was. It's a
I
nice
reckon-
horse, only 4 years old too.
Maybe Darren Kell or Josh Nelms or somebody can tell us, but I would imagine You Bet Your Tiger Pie in the run on Betfair would have been $1.20.
Yep.
Don't you reckon?
I'd say it had to be. And Jackie Barker said post-race, I actually didn't think I won. The angle, for those watching at home, that the horse had won because that's just
I knew
how
you'd
it
won,
goes at
Jackie.
Melton.
I knew you'd won.
But I think she admitted that she loves the horse, but that run even surprised her how quick it was able to get home and actually outpunch the winner. So it's an exciting time for Leilani Justice because that horse has a really, really bright future.
All right. You want to get to the votes first and then the black book?
Yeah. Who did now? I've played my votes more traditionally this week. Let me just give an update on the leaderboard, Jace. Karen Manning's on 5. Jason Lee's on 5. They're equal out in front. And then James Herbertson and Nathan Jack are each on 3, and we won't go past there. So it's Manning and Lee at the moment out in front. Who did you go last week, Jace?
I was worried you were going to do the non-traditional.
Yeah, I don't.
Again,
I know.
yeah.
I wanted
So
to
I had to choose. I had to choose for my 3 votes between Ryan Sanderson.
Yep.
And his big, bulky, broad father, Shane.
Ooh.
I've gone with the driver.
3 to Ryan.
I thought I've got an opinion of our mate Menko.
Yes, very impressive too. Good gate speed.
Like Vanquish Stride got into a good spot. That was great. But our mate Menko just got there and just said, I hate to go too slow. He just said, I'll tell you what, I like Louis, you're just going to have to work. I reckon I'm good enough to keep going at this tempo and I can win. I just thought it was a picture perfect piloting experience. 2 votes to Matty Craven.
Yep.
Because Roadmaster, to bring him back, did he have an atrial fib the previous, regardless, time off, to be able to lead and win like that? Yep. Absolutely dominant. Obviously didn't tell a bloody soul, though, given the price. Well done to you. And 1 vote to David Barbetti.
Oh, I like that.
Who trained and drove. The very talented, but sometimes hard to catch El Rosamo to win. And I must say, I hate you. I don't hate. I sometimes have a go at you for the honourable mentions, but
yes,
I do feel bad about Mick Stanley not getting in because the way he's handling Exotic Bush Ranger is magnificent, and who knows what might happen. We'll talk about that in the form preview. Your 3, 2, 1, please, Cody Winnell.
Yeah, I gave 1 vote Matty Craven for having Roadmaster so spot on first up.
Well,
I gave 2 votes to Andy Gath for his Quinella in the Italian Cup. 4th with Miss Idaho, who was a superb run. And 3rd with Terry, a bit of an improvement. So, yeah, I thought Andy Gath gets the 2 votes.
Now, for the black book, the way your Miss Idaho superb just then.
You know me pretty well, Jace. Yep, that's where I'm going.
Glad you're in.
And for 3 votes, young Ryan Sanderson, a very good young driver. And Victoria's always had a good quality young reinsmen and women coming through the ranks. Ryan must be right up there. And Abby, his sister, is doing wonderful things too. So
has outdone him in feature races.
Yes, absolutely.
He's a great gate driver. I don't think he's a great judge of tempo. Yeah. Okay. He's on his way up. We already know yours, Miss Idaho, as your black.
Yeah. I was probably when we recorded a couple of weeks back, and was Miss Idaho with Andy when I would have done the form, or was it a late joiner of Andy Gath's stable that week? Because I don't recall seeing Andy's name on it when I did the form, but by Saturday night it was in the colours. I may have completely missed it. missed it, and it was already.
Was it with
Or was it with Ryan
Ryan Rohoric?
Well, that's what I thought I remembered from the form guide, but then on the night it was wearing the Gath silks. So I couldn't.
That can happen.
It can, of course, it can.
Yeah.
But anyway, regardless,
Going through puberty.
Regardless, it showed at the weekend that is a nice horse, and Andy's got it going very well, and I think she wins pretty soon. So yeah, Miss Idaho for me.
And mine is Kyvalley Piero.
Kyvalley Piero.
Yep.
Talk to us about that, Jace.
I think it was a month between runs. So many of the races. This is something from way back in my youth. You know when you used to get the photos in the Herald Sun or the Truth or the Winning Post?
Yes.
With the thoroughbreds to tell you where they were at the 800. One of the things I always used to concentrate on is the first 4 or 5 runners and where were you? And quite often they were all bunched together. And if you look at the results on Saturday night, peg domination or, top 4 or 5, or in, I think, one race, they came from behind. This was a situation, I think, Kyvalley Piero finished 4th.
He did, yep.
But it was all dominated at the top end.
Mm.
So not entitled to make up the ground that it did. And I often watch, if you're coming from the back, when I'm doing the replays, I almost think, well, you've got to get past these ones to prove that was a big run. If you're all getting home together in a pack and you don't get past a couple of others, it was a solid run. But I just thought, we know Kyvalley Piero has got plenty of ability. And I thought, give it a bit of continuity with its racing, and I think you'll find it will be winning soon. And we should mention Michael Stan won for you as a bucket.
He did about $4 it paid last Sunday night at Melton, so that was a terrific win. Bulletproof Boy did have a crack for the front in race 1 last week, we should say, Chase, which I think was your black booker from the week prior.
Yeah.
And you've got Just a Little Sip still in the black book. I'm glad they scratched because couldn't win there, but you've suggested it wins pretty soon. We've added Kyvalley Piero into your black book. I've still got my Uncle Stan in there. Kowalski Analysis. Looking forward to seeing where it goes around next. And now Miss Idaho.